What's going on, everyone? This is the Standing Room Only podcast, episode number 29. We are back with another week without any sports, but we have a couple topics to talk about today. If you guys have not followed us on our social media pages, it's SR Only Pod, Twitter and Instagram. Tweet at us or message us on Instagram if you have any questions about the podcast or have any topics you want us to talk about. Also, the only way we see analytics for the podcast is through downloads. So if you guys have not already, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple and make sure you download the podcast so that we can get an accurate representation of how many people every week actually download the podcast. We're curious. It's probably not too big of a file, so hit that download button this week if you don't mind. You can follow myself at the Healy6 on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow Goose.
I am Goose with 4 O's. I am on Instagram. I'm on Twitter as well. Go ahead, tweet at me. Reply to everything I retweet as far as sports goes. I'm not too active on Twitter, but again, if you reach out, I will be interactive, and I think myself and Healy can speak for me as well. When I say we like to be interactive, we like to be interactive. We do share posts. We like to put polls out. So we do like to not only see the numbers as far as you guys downloading, but we want to be interactive with you guys as well and stay as social as possible, especially during quarantine. Whereas Healy said, another week without sports. So what else can we do? Let's talk sports. Let's talk about the past. Let's talk about the greatest. Let's just keep it alive, at least for the next few weeks. As Healy said, we do have some sports updates, some sports news, which is awesome. Again, I am iGoose, 4 O's. Healy, now you did say that there is a couple of different topics. I'm pretty sure you're thinking what I'm thinking, yeah?
With the NHL.
With the NHL. Okay. So they adopted a 2014 playoff.
So yeah, the NHL is coming back. It is officially coming back, and they are skipping the regular season. They are not playing any regular season games. They're jumping straight into the playoffs. Also, I don't know if I need to look into it more. They might be doing games at set locations. Yeah, in two hub cities. So they're going to play in two cities for each conference, and then I think the winners of both will meet up in one of the cities to play out the Stanley Cup. So,
Yeah. Do they say what cities those are? I would assume that it would be a city in which a team is not making this playoff bracket, which I mean, there's only a few teams that are not making the playoff bracket. It's 24 teams, which if I'm not mistaken, is it 30 or 32 in the NHL? So
it might be 32.
okay.
They've added a couple teams over the past, but yeah, they expanded it from 16 to 24, so there are more teams in the playoffs, and also so that some of these teams can get some reps with some meaningful games. I don't see where the two teams or like where the two cities are. I don't think any of them are going to be in Canada. So I think they're both going to be in the US because with Canada, there's like a 14-day travel policy if you're there.
Oh wow.
Or something
Okay.
about that, or like a quarantine period. So I would believe both of them are going to be in America. Like I said, I don't know where these hub cities are. I think they just approved it. And,
Yes. So actually, there's different hub cities from what I'm seeing. They said Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Edmonton, Las Vegas, LA, Minneapolis, Pittsburgh, Toronto, and Vancouver are actually considered. So those are some Canada, some cities in Canada. So I mean, I would be surprised if they did take that route. Traveling out of the country, like these teams, just because they're pro teams doesn't mean that they don't have to abide by the law.
yeah.
So I would assume keep the guys locally to the states.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they do two, I think two different hubs works. I would hate for a team to get home ice advantage versus another team. So if they do it in Chicago, well, Chicago's going to be in the playoffs. I mean, for us, I mean, that would be kind of cool, right? Like, we're from Chicago, the
Yeah.
Blackhawks. I mean, but I mean, another thing though, there's not like fans. So I
Yeah,
don't know if
there's
that
no
really
fans.
matters. There's no fans. So I guess at this point, make it convenient. Make teams go somewhere where, okay, if they do get to the finals or whatever, the Stanley Cup, and it's two teams, one from each conference, well, one doesn't have to travel further than the other, so
Yeah.
keep it, centrally located. I think it could be done. I Going straight into the playoffs, I think, is a good idea. And their goal is, let's finish off the season. Everybody is almost getting a chance. If you're in the bottom 6 or bottom 8, your team is probably trash and you weren't going to make the playoffs anyways.
Yeah.
And by doing this, they are looking to set a marker so that they can still play an 82 game season next
Yeah.
year. So
Yeah.
that's the big thing, is next season they're looking for.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. I did find out they do have 31 teams. So
That's so odd.
because I think
That's
so they did change teams with Atlanta to Winnipeg, but Vegas is the one that they added it.
Okay, so that made it 31. They should have
Yeah.
added another.
I think Seattle is getting a team next year.
Oh, okay, so there's
Or like
32.
yeah. Seattle will be getting an NHL team. I don't know exactly when, but yeah. Do you know how the first round's gonna work?
I know. I literally just
Just
read
pulled it
this.
up.
Like, yeah, just like maybe I
So
heard of it 2 hours
yeah.
ago.
So the top 4 teams in each conference are guaranteed locks. So they technically get a first round bye. So
Oh, okay.
seeds 5 through 12 are going to play each other in a they're going to play each other in a best of 5. So right now Edmonton and Chicago are going to play against each other, the 5 seed versus the 12 seed, and
Okay.
it's going to be a best of 5. I don't know how the seeding is going to work for the second round. I think they might change it up to where it's the best seed versus the worst seed at that point. Could be wrong.
Okay.
Could be wrong at that point, but yeah,
Yeah.
best of 5 start off. So those guys, every game's gonna be even more crucial because it's not a 7-game series. But I'm a little afraid of the top 4 teams playing against each other. Just
Yeah,
because,
I
like, or not playing against each other, but just playing in general, because these bottom 8 teams in each conference, they're going to get 5 games.
some of them are going to get out up to 5 games, and they're going to be going in hot. We've seen Chicago pull some things off. Chicago hockey was pretty exciting for quite a while. And, take somebody like Patrick Kane or Jonathan Taves, and you get these guys rolling, at least 3 games. Who knows? They go into they're the number 12 seed.
Yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, that's the worst seed you can have. And so they'd be going against, I mean, this is how I would do it. I would do lowest seed against the best seed, because that's just tradition with playoffs. That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
So then they would go and face the number 1 team, which I don't even see who the number 1 seed is right now, but
Yeah. St.
I
Louis.
think it's going to be exciting. Oh, even better, St. Louis. So, um, I do feel like you said, these first 4 teams going in, they're not going to have a game, like a warm up. There's not going to be a game to where they can just have a bad game and get the bad game out of the way. I mean, that's going to have to be the first game in the next round, but then again, they do get the first round bye. So,
Oh, also in this format, just learned. So you know how I said the top 4 teams, they might not play, they might
mhm.
not be hot. They are actually going to play a round robin against each other to determine their seeds.
For the next round.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
So no
they're going
matter
to
what,
get
they're making the next round.
yeah. Well, yeah, and everyone's going to get guaranteed at least 3 games.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's so now everybody's gonna play, and whoever like this, that's perfect. That's because I mean it's unfair to not be warm going into a series, to have
Yeah.
some games, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually a really good idea. I think you get the top 4 teams, and like let them play for that seed, and no matter what, they're guaranteed to play after the first round. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's I like that. I like that a lot, and I
Yeah.
think other leagues such as the NBA can and adopt from that idea, and make it their own. So I know some players in the NBA, some teams in the NBA, I know are like, well, why rush into the playoffs? But I think the NHL right now is setting a good standard here,
Yeah, it's still to
doing
be
what you can.
determined. Still to be determined whether the matchups for the official first round would be bracketed or reseeded. So, let's say Edmonton and Chicago go after each other. I think that they would play the 4 seed. So let's say Blackhawks win, it'd be 4 against 12. I think they should reseed the official first round because you don't want the 12th team winning, going up against a 4 seed, and then having the number 1 team in the conference go up against a 7 or 8 seed, or however it's going to be determined. Because then at that point, like, you're facing a way better team. In hockey, though, once you get to the playoffs, I think you throw the records out the window. But
Yeah.
still, I think that it's going to be reseeded. But yeah, every team's playing some games. We'll relate this to the NBA. Do you think they should follow this format? I
Ooh.
to it like, do you think they should follow this exact format, or do you think it should be somewhat similar and kind of redone a little bit to make it better for the NBA?
Yes, to all of the above. So the reason why, so Damian Lillard, right? Prime
Yeah,
example. We were just talking about it. He said if they're gonna go and do a handful of games, just a handful, a few games, just to get us warm up, and then go straight into the playoffs, well, I'm not gonna play because there's a chance my team statistically or on paper cannot even make the playoffs based on a few games, right?
yeah,
So now if you're like, well, how about this, Dame? How about we play a few games? We get a for sure, you get seeded, right? And instead of your team being fighting for the 8th seed, now you're fighting for 9th or 10th seed. So you're going to
yeah.
make the playoffs. So, and with the NBA, there's 30 teams in the NBA, right? So I would say top 24.
You want to know what happens if it's the top 24 or top 12 from each conference?
Does that mean I win my bet because the Bulls made the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be incredible. Oh man, I would collect. I have everybody on speed dial after this episode. If this happens, just know I will find you and I will collect my winnings. So yeah, that's just been like a long ongoing, it's not really an inside joke. That's I was serious for the longest time saying the Bulls are gonna make the playoffs. They have the team. And you know what the best part is? They have such a good young squad, and now they potentially might fire Boylan. They have a
Yeah.
new front office. Who knows? Maybe they revamp this team in the next few weeks. They make a push. They make a push.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be hilarious. I find it weird how off topic. We'll get back to our normal topic. I find it weird how teams are like in the off season mode when it's still the regular season. Like in the MLB, everything's locked at the moment. NHL, I think things are locked. Why is in the NBA the Bulls are able to get a new GM, a new president of basketball operations, and like be able to fire their coach before the season's even over? That's just weird. From what I
Yeah, I agree. This is all off-season moves, normally off-season moves, but historically we've seen coaches get fired towards the end of the season. I don't know how it works with GMs. I mean, I mean, obviously it's allowed, but it's weird to do all of this during the quarantine. I think it's like
yeah
such a bad time to do it, but I mean, business is business, right? But that's hilarious because I was just reading today. Arturis, the GM, was basically like, "Yeah, we're gonna move on from Jim Boylan," or somebody in the front office wants to move on from Jim Boylan. And so now you're like, wait a minute. So they're making all these changes, and they're going to have enough time to maybe learn their team a little bit better than what the existing or the old staff was doing, and now make a push. And I mean, I think the best 24 teams would be perfect, because not only is it going to boost their ratings, because it's longer than the regular playoffs. Like, do a 5-game series. You're going to have LeBron and the Lakers still dominate,
Yeah.
right? What are you thinking?
I was thinking to change it up because the NHL, it's Eastern and Western Conference. Do you think it'd be better if they went best 24 teams or best 12 from each conference?
Ooh.
I honestly think best 24 would be the option. Because you got like I understand that the conferences have always been kind of weighted, but in the Eastern Conference, the number 9 seed would be the 14th seed in the West.
It's always been that way. I think, and it's only fair. This is all temporary. This isn't
Yeah.
going to happen again
Yeah.
unless, I mean, God forbid, something bad happens again.
Yeah.
The thing mutates and we have to go through this again, right? So why not? They did a temp change in the All-Star game already,
Yeah.
and it was incredible. Incredible. Which, I mean, if that's my last memory of this basketball season is that All-Star game, I'm okay with it. Although I do think LeBron deserves to have a shot at another ring.
Yeah.
But take the best 24 and just have it seeded based on record. No East versus West. Can you imagine that? Well, if LeBron faces the East again, he's gonna dominate like he always does. He's
Yeah.
LeBronto.
Yeah, especially with that Lakers team he has. Be
I think that
nuts.
would be. I think that would be a good idea. I
Yeah,
think
you'd get some
that's
great
thinking.
matchups.
Can you imagine, like, you get Giannis versus, you probably won't get Giannis versus LeBron till late in this playoff bracket or even the Clippers, but you'll have that mix. It'll always be a gut wrenching series
Mhm.
probably after the first round. It'd be a crazy good. You can even do a 7-game series. Let this run through July, early August. Give these guys a little break. I mean, you're gonna have the draft, right? You'll still have the draft. You have these guys
Yeah.
do their summer league, shorten the summer league, and I mean, if you have to put, even if you extend the season into starting instead of October, you started in November.
Yeah.
I think it can work out perfectly. And Healy, I think that might be the best idea I've ever heard for an idea on pushing these guys into the playoffs. That would be a 2014 bracket, just top 24 based on
Yeah.
record. Wait,
Yeah.
would the Bulls not make the playoffs then?
Like I said, they would be the 14th seed in the West. So it'd be uh the top 13 teams from
The West.
West. I think they barely make it in.
As long as they make it in, that's all that
I could
matters.
be wrong, but I think they barely make it in. But you could get like a good first round matchup, like the Rockets versus the 76ers.
That
A
would be
playoff
super
series.
entertaining. That would be super entertaining. Super entertaining. I don't know if you ever watched. So I follow like so many different sports pages, and like when there was the lockout, or like in the summer, you see even like not only just the pro players, but you have some like musicians like J. Cole and other
Mm-hmm.
artists. They get together and they run fives in like this
Yeah.
court, and there's no fans. But I'm stuck watching these guys play these highlights, and I'm amazed. I don't even care about a crowd, because these guys, this is more like this is like your rec league, but with purpose. So these guys are going to give it their all. Nobody has an advantage with the crowd. Guys are still going to get super hyped. They're going to get super geeked. We saw the scrimmage from the gold medal Olympic team in the 90s. How crazy that matchup was. There's nobody watching
Yeah.
because it's all about pride. They're still playing for a championship. And I think having a matchup East versus West in the first round would be incredible. Like you said, a Sixers versus Rockets, Harden going up against whoever is a star on the Sixers now, I guess Ben Simmons or, at Joel Embiid, and then you have Russell Westbrook in the mix. I think that would be fun. I honestly think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, right now the Bulls would be the 24th team in the playoffs.
That's the deadliest 24th seed you've ever seen. It might be the only 24th team you'll ever see in a playoff, but it's the deadliest, all right? And that's all that matters. So
Yeah.
it'd be interesting. I mean, I feel like you would have to, the way you would seed it is, I feel like if you do it that way, you have to go best versus worst until you get reseeded the teams in the middle of the bracket. So you'd probably get, to the 4 teams with the best record, give them the bye, and then you would have somebody like the Sixers or whatever it may be. I'm trying to think in the West, maybe Utah versus the Bulls, because Utah would be like top of the bracket in the first round because they would be like a 4th or 5th seed.
Yeah.
And then, also too, you would get the Pelicans in there, so they're not battling for an 8th seed. Portland is always dangerous in the playoffs just because Dame Lillard is a dog in the playoffs. He does not miss. Healy, you have me excited right now. You have me super excited with that. I'm not going to lie to you.
I hope they go that
So,
route just because this is like a fantasy, like never will happen again. And you're
it'll
gonna
never
have
happen.
you'll have matchups that would have never happened unless it was in a finals matchup. We actually get to see it played out.
And this will be, I think, a huge testament to LeBron James. Not only is this is his first playoff appearance in the West,
Mm.
right? I'm kind of mad that we're not seeing this right now. That this all happened. Because I thought for sure this is the tell-all with LeBron. Because sure, he dominated the East for 8 years in a row. Who did he really face? Toronto, that was a good team, but not that good, obviously, without Kawhi. They're
Yeah,
good now, but that's it. Now he goes to the West. He's still the number 1 seed. Sure, he has Anthony Davis, but who doesn't have a partner in crime nowadays?
yeah.
And he's dominating. But is LeBron really gonna go all the way in the West? Is he
Hmm.
gonna really match up well against Kawhi and Paul George and Pat Beverly? Like, I was waiting for it, and I think doing the top 24 teams, if there's a chance he has to play Giannis and it's not in the finals, that is gonna be a series that is completely nuts.
Yeah, I don't know how they would do the seeding, but let's say they do 24 and it's 1 versus 24, 2 versus 23. The only matchup the Bucks and Lakers would have would be the finals.
Is the finals, because that's how you should do it. I mean, that's traditional. Like the NFL does it that way. Baseball, I don't. Baseball would seed it that way, right? It's best versus worst. Or am I
Uh
wrong? The baseball.
no, baseball it's the wild cards. So like we saw the Cubs make it and the Pirates, they won 98 and 97 games and they were the
Mhm.
second and third best record in the National League, but they had to face the number 1 seed because they were a wild card team.
Wild card, right? Okay, okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah,
So
the
essentially, they were automatically lower seeded because of that, because of the division winners. So I think that's the way you should do it. You should have it set up 4 brackets, and it's almost, yeah. I mean, just go straight to the playoffs. 24 teams.
best
I have no argument against that.
yeah, best of 5 for the first round because you would think like the teams
That's
that you're going up against, you want to play a few warm-up games, but 7 games is kind of a lot if you have to go the full 7. And also, I think a best of 5, a team, the better team should dominate.
Yeah, yeah, hands down. I mean, w- I don't know what else they would do. Like if they do a 24 team, there's no need to get, unless there's the brackets are close and there's a tie. Like if
Yeah.
there's a tiebreaker, okay, do a one game tiebreaker. That's it. No need to do a series. Do it like baseball. Tiebreakers, it's 1 game. And I I just don't see how else why they would need to play any other games besides this 5 game series to start. 5
Hmm.
game series, do it in 1 week. You can do I wouldn't do back to back games, maybe, alternate, do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Your one team, series would
Yeah.
play. And you could do like Tuesday,
Yeah.
Thursday, Saturday, whatever,
Yeah. Take out
And
the
now,
travel days. I think they're going to take out the
yeah,
travel days.
keep them in 2 stadiums. That's it.
Well,
I mean, obviously though, I was gonna say some teams, like, if you do 2 stadiums, it's gonna be kinda tough.
Well,
So you
I think they're gonna play. A big talk right now is in Orlando at the ESPN like Disney World, and they have multiple courts, so it's
oh,
not going to be a problem if they play
yeah, and
all their games there.
I want it to be an official court. I want it to look great. I don't want it to be like watching the summer league.
Yeah,
It's almost like you're watching a game at the Y. It's hard to follow. There's lines on the court. Like, I don't need that. So wherever they have to do it, I'm all for it. Orlando would be a good idea. And I mean, it could be done. It could be done. If they keep these guys remote, they do their testing. We've seen other sports. We've seen UFC. They hosted their pay-per-views already, and it was successful. And you test these guys. You test them maybe the night before.
yeah,
Hey, results would be in the morning. If somebody tests positive, that's the only thing where this could fail. Multiple guys test positive for coronavirus, then it's like, shit, where were you? Who were you by? And then it's a 2-week isolation, right? So then at
yeah,
that point, that's where it can fail. But I think if they play their cards right and they focus and these guys understand what's at stake, then I think it could be done and it'd be a win-win situation. Not only are these guys going to be able to get back to playing, they can battle for a championship. I know LeBron wants to finish the season. He's 35 years old, right?
yeah.
Almost 36.
He
So
doesn't
he
have
wants
much left at his best right now. What we
right.
think.
What we think, yeah, he might be Tom Brady and be great until 40, 41. We don't know. And so then on top of that, ESPN, TNT, whoever wants rights, you're gonna get the money flow going. You're gonna have TV ratings. I'm watching every single game. I don't want to say this too loud. My girlfriend does not know this, but she will sit there and watch every game with me, or she won't. I will be watching every single game, and she's gonna learn who Russell Westbrook is, and she's gonna learn all these guys because there's nothing else on TV right now. So
Oh man.
maybe not every game, but I do plan on. I miss sports so much. I miss basketball. I was so excited for this season. So I don't know, Healy. I think you're onto something, and I think we should write a 12-page document to the commissioner of the NBA as to why we need to do a 2014 playoff.
Yeah, I I hope it's somewhat like that. We're just gonna have to get our hopes up for that. If you guys agree or disagree with what we recommended for the NBA, or like have a different format you guys thought of while listening to this, make sure to tweet at us, message us on the official uh, Twitters, or you can message us individually. Whatever. We're down to talk this format, as you guys could tell. But is there much other news? I think mainly just Boylan could be fired here soon. And
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the NBA, nobody's. I mean, to be fair, everything is pretty much locked except for the Bulls, and I'm okay with that. I
yeah.
have never been happier. This is the best quarantine, hopefully the only quarantine I've ever been in, and probably the best quarantine if there's ever another one, just simply because of what the Bulls have been doing. So, but besides that, I think at this point it's all what ifs down the road until we get some live sports.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we definitely just raised a good debate. We should definitely create like a poll. We'll put out on Instagram and Twitter. I think this is good. I want to hear everybody's feedback. I want to know, what do you think, and if you want if you select other on this poll, I want to hear what you think the league, the NBA should do as far as resuming the season, not resuming the season. Should they do a playoff? Do you guys like the 2014 playoff bracket idea? Obviously stealing from the NHL. Or what do you think? I think we're gonna put that out. Look for it. I would say tonight. If not tonight, early tomorrow morning, I'll definitely put that out. So I'm curious to know what everybody else, what your thoughts are. I mean, I know I'm just like the next guy. We all want live sports. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely want that. But I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Standing Room Only podcast. We had a good topic today, and I felt like it was definitely worth it. As always, you can follow us at the Standing Room or SR Only Pod at SR Only Pod on Twitter and Instagram. We do have a YouTube channel, Standing Room Only Podcast. Make sure to download the episode if you have not already. It's the best way to show support, as we only see the downloads. And you can follow myself at the Healy6 on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow Goose.
I am iGoose with 4 O's. I am on Twitter. I'm on Instagram as well. Again, guys, go ahead. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We are the Standing Room Only. Go ahead and give us a download. Give us a like. Let us know what you think. If you like it, awesome. We love you guys. If you don't like it, that's awesome. Give us your feedback. We care. We want to know. So until next week, we'll talk to you guys.
Yeah, have a good one.